Satu je. Tes. Cubaan.
Baiklah hadirin sekalian, kini tibalah saat yang dinanti-nantikan, iaitu sesi 3-minute pitching bagi kategori Sains Teknologi. Di mana 10 finalis terbaik akan mara ke sesi ini dan membentangkan projek penyelidikan tahun akhir mereka. Memperkenalkan panel juri yang akan menilai pertandingan ini bagi Sains Teknologi kategori panel juri yang pertama, Miss Chen Yi Peng yang merupakan usahawan dan ahli kimia berpengalaman dengan lebih 20 tahun kepakaran dalam pembangunan produk dan perdagangan antarabangsa serta pengasas bersama City Coin Camp Sendirian Berhad. Panel juri yang kedua, Dr. Shanmuga Kitapa yang merupakan pakar kejuruteraan alam sekitar dan kelestarian yang mengetuai unit penyelidikan pembangunan dan kelestarian di San Viro Sendirian Berhad. Dan juri yang ketiga, teknologis John Willy yang merupakan pakar teknologi digital dan transformasi digital yang kini berkhidmat sebagai Head of Services di Saibian. Berikan tepukan gemuruh buat panel juri kita. Baiklah, untuk pengetahuan hadirin, bagi penilaian markah 90% markah adalah daripada penilaian penuh juri, manakala 10% markah adalah daripada penilaian penonton. QR code akan dipaparkan di skrin. Perhatian juga kepada semua juri bahawa sesi soal jawab bagi setiap pembentangan adalah terhad kepada 2 minit sahaja berikutan dengan kekangan masa. Jadi setiap peserta akan menerima satu soalan daripada seorang juri dan setiap peserta juga diberi masa 3 minit untuk membentangkan FYP mereka. Terima kasih atas kerjasama anda. Baiklah, bagi merancangkan lagi sesi kita pada petang ini, majlis menjemput finalis kita yang pertama, Xia Zian dengan tajuk FYP-nya Development of Sustainable Tesla Motor Using Gravitational and Magnetic Fields daripada Faculty of Engineering. Dipersilakan. You may start now.
So, good morning. My name is Yazran. Today, I'm going to present my project title, Development of Sustainable Tesla Motor Using Gravitational and Magnetic Field. Next slide. So today I'm going to present my project title, Development of Sustainable Tesla Motor Using Gravitational and Magnetic Field. So as you know, the conventional electric motor require a continuous electric supply to sustain the unlimited rotation, making them unsuitable for the off-grid environment. Also, the magnetic motor always suffer from a corking torque problem, which prevent the motor from a smooth rotation. So in our project, we do it in an opposite way, which is to use the magnetic and gravitational force to create a low-speed rotational movement without the electric supply. So in our design, I designed the magnetic motor by using the SolidWorks, which optimize the magnetic arrangement and the fixed agate configuration. First, for example, I use the Bread-Loaf magnet shaping. Second, I use the 7 number of the neodymium magnet to create a gravitational unbalanced force. Thirdly, I use the spring to create a smooth movement of the spring of the magnet. And lastly, I use the outer magnet to create attraction and repulsion force. Then I use the next I import my design into the N6 Maxwell to analyze the magnetic interaction, to analyze the magnetic interaction such as the attraction and repulsion force during the rotational motion. Lastly, based on the magnetic field data, I use the Maxwell and I use the MATLAB to evaluate the rotational motion, the gravitational torque, how much the spring attract and contract, how much to evaluate the rotational performance. So for the result discussion, we can know that after we introduce the Bread-Loaf design, the spring, and also the outer magnet, we successfully to create a gravitational unbalanced force, which is to create a positive rotation, meaning that what is the positive direction? Meaning that when we want to create a rotational motion, rotate in the clockwise direction, the right side of the motor should be the larger positive torque, larger than the negative torque. Meaning that if we want to, because we know that the torque formula of the torque is equal to radius times force. So if you want to increase the torque to allow the motor to rotate, either we need to increase the radius, either we need to increase the force.
Your 3 minutes is, your time has up, so now we open up to Q&A session. So attention to all judges, the Q&A session for each presentation is limited to 2 minutes, so you may ask your question now. Thank you.
Hello. Okay. Actually, we decide. You finish your presentation because we just hear halfway only, with no slide, no other thing.
Can we request to post the design because it's easier to understand?
Stop.
Is it possible to request for the poster to show that, to make them easier to understand?
Poster tidak akan diberikan, tapi mungkin boleh turun ke bawah untuk tunjukkan kepada panel secara individual.
Yeah, but in my phone. Or
Okay. Since we don't have the poster, I'm just interested to know about this motor, right? How many kilowatts is it generating? How efficient is it?
Okay. Right now, for our design, we don't have such value because right now our problem is we need to make sure that the rotational can sustain unlimited rotation. And then after we prove that the rotation, such as using N6 Maxwell, can prove that we can sustain unlimited rotation, then we will try to connect the rotor with the generator by using a shaft to evaluate how many electricity will be generated. So because right now the problem is, for the current prototype, there is a problem is we cannot sustain unlimited rotation.
So how long can it sustain itself when you kickstart it to run? I'm interested to know that as well.
Yeah, based on the result I get, the top value is always larger than 0, meaning that the larger than 0, the rotor can sustain unlimited rotation. So, but right now I face a problem is the graph is fluctuating, meaning that the rotation is not that smooth. Sometimes it's rotating very fast, sometimes very slow. That is the problem I face right now. But at least I can prove that our design can sustain unlimited rotation. But in future, we need to let the motor in smooth rotation, perform better, so it can generate the electricity in a stable mode.
Okay. I think it's important that you look at the magnetic force that's generated.
Yes.
I think the key thing for me is how efficient is the motor.
Yes.
Now, if I'm going to commercialize this, I will also need you to come out with a bill of material.
Yes.
A BOM, right?
Yes.
I need to know how much we're going to invest to make a unit,
Yes.
assuming we're going to sell that.
Can
Okay,
understand.
so you do need to figure out what is the magnetic force, how you can sustain it, how long can it be sustainable.
Can.
So that will be the main challenge for me
Yes.
from
It's
a
the main
mechanical
challenge.
standpoint.
Yes.
Okay, makes sense?
Can. Yes.
Yeah,
Master.
but you do need to talk about commercialization because we're going to sell this idea,
Yes.
we're going to make it into a product for the market. We do need to know how can we control the cost of the BOM.
Okay.
That would be
Understand.
my primary concern.
Can.
Got it?
Thank you for your suggestion.
No problem.
Thank you. That's all for me. Thank you.
Baiklah, terima kasih diucapkan kepada panel juri dan finalis kita yang pertama. Dan kita akan teruskan lagi dengan finalis yang kedua. Dipersilakan Nur Fatihah binti Kumar dengan tajuk FYP-nya Ethnobotanical Review and Antioxidant Activity of Underutilized Fruit of Averrhoa bilimbi Lin daripada Faculty of Science. Dipersilakan.
Okay, good afternoon, everyone. So today, have you ever thought about how essential is antioxidant for our bodies? Most of people will say that it is very important because it is used to combat aging, chronic disease, and also cancer. Think about the last time that you buy apple, oranges, and berries. Most of these fruits we use and we eat them because they are packed with antioxidant, which is our body primary defense system. But do you know that these fruits are 100% imported from other country? Instead of consuming important fruits, why not we utilize our local underutilized fruits? What if it was growing in our backyards completely ignored? So my research is about analyzing the antioxidant activity and also to search the phytochemical contents in underutilized fruit, which is I choose Averrhoa bilimbi Lin. Averrhoa bilimbi Lin is also known as bilimbi. In Malaysia, we call it belimbing buluh. So from my research, I done 3 essays using methanol, hexane, and also ethyl acetate extract of this fruit. This is because I want to see the polarity gradient because methanol will extract all the high polarity antioxidant while hexane will extract all the non-polar and ethyl acetate will extract the semi-polar. So from my research, I find that methanol extract yield the highest antioxidant activity, which means it has all of the antioxidant that work synergistically to show the highest activity of antioxidant. I did 3 essays in which are DPPH assay, FRAP assay, and MCA, which is metal chelating assay. And also, I also did phytochemical content research, which is TPC and TFC. TPC stands for total phenolic content. TFC stands for total flavonoid content. I found that every methanol extract has the higher total of phenolic and also flavonoid. So, I also did a comprehensive research on its ethnobotanical review to strengthen and support the potential of application of this fruit and also as to be used for functional food and natural antioxidant source. So, thank you. That's all.
Boleh, terima kasih atas pembentangan anda. Jadi kita teruskan lagi dengan sesi soal jawab daripada panel juri. 2 minit bermula dari sekarang. Dipersilakan.
Hello.
Yeah.
Nur Fatiha.
Yeah.
Okay, nice to hear about your research. Okay, may I know, like, in your research, what is the novelty of your research? Is that this is the fruits not been tested earlier on, or the method of extraction? So what is the novelty of your research actually?
My novelty of my research is to see the antioxidant activity of this fruit using methanol, hexane, and ethyl acetate, because most of the research only focus on ethanol and water extract.
Okay, is there any comparison did you do when you do this extraction, and what is your baseline when you determine the concentration and all those things?
I've done positive reference to compare, and I got that for DPPH assay, which is radical scavenging activity, the methanol extract yield the highest activity, overpower my positive reference, which is I'm using BHA. So it is a very good antioxidant.
Okay, just a follow up on that. When you're doing this extraction, right, so you don't really extract only the antioxidant, you do also extract other chemicals as well into your this thing.
Yes.
So that can really interfere with your results. So how do you manage that?
For this, my research, I only focus on methanol, hexane, and ethyl acetate. But we know that methanol will extract more, not only antioxidant, right? So starch, protein, and what else? So this is only for preliminary test to see if it's a presence of antioxidant activity. So in the future, maybe we can do more comprehensive research like HPLC. We also call high performance liquid chromatography to see what exactly are the antioxidants.
Baiklah, terima kasih finalis yang kedua. Jadi kita teruskan lagi kepada finalis yang ketiga. Dipersilakan Chai Hong Yi dengan tajuk FYP-nya Verdant Search Bridging Vision and Text in Distributed Search Through Multimodal Learning to Rank daripada Faculty of Computer Science and Information Technology. Dipersilakan. Baiklah finalis ketiga, masa anda mula sekarang.
So good afternoon everyone, my name is Hong Yi, and today I'm going to present my final year project. So it's a search engine system where we can bridge the vision and text together in our system. So my beginning will be, nowadays people are talking about building AI products. So they are building the products that has an AI inside of it that is working for the people. But the reason why AI survived until now, developed for everyone to use, is because we have a stable software architecture that survives, that sustains for our system. So my project is about in-house search engine for any company in the world. For example, if you are a software company, you might need to manage a lot of documentation inside of your company. So you don't want to share it with the third party or any publicity. So you can use this project to deploy very easily with a single PC, that it allows you to search text, image, video, and you can cross-search across different modality. For example, you can use image to search the video, use a video to search the text, or even use a text to search image and video together. So the novelty of the system is I streamline the whole system, that it contains of the searching algorithm, re-ranking algorithm, scrapers, dashboards for administrator to manage, and also like whole algorithm pipeline. So one of the novelty is the reranking algorithm. So nowadays, we use TikTok, we use search engine a lot. So they really care about what's the top 10 priority in the list of the search results, so that people would likely to click for the top 10 results. Therefore, the algorithm is designed to show that what should be in the top 3, what should be in the top 5, and what should be in the top 10 to rank. So our sorting algorithm allows to take image, text, and video into account. So because in the daily life, like when we search a keyword in the search engine, it's so small, and it has to pair with all the documents in the system. So it allows it to go through by the vectors. We vectorize the image and video into vectors so that they can search to each other by simply calculating the cosine similarity between each other. So that our document only have to query to the neighbors. And it allows us to do the fast query, fast searching, and also retrieve from the database. And then later, we also feed the result to the AI to summarize. And also, you can ask for the details so that anyone in the company, like across, like no matter you are a video company, you are the company that manage for documentation, can also use this as an in-house project that your employee can use it anywhere. So that's all for my project.
Boleh terima kasih kepada pembentangan finalis kita yang ketiga. Jadi sekarang kita buka untuk sesi soal jawab. Jadi dipersilakan 2 minit anda bermula daripada sekarang.
Hi. What you've just explained just now, if I understand correctly, you are focusing on a search engine optimization technology or technique. Am I correct?
No, I designed the whole search engine technology. So like search engine optimization means you are optimizing for the website to be seen.
So what are you applying at the back end?
My back end has 2 parts. So one part is the searching indexing system, where we collect all the data from the company or websites. And it will be indexed into a database so that my search back end can search from the database. So it's a 2-stage.
Okay, this seems like something that we've seen before. It's not anything new. Because what AI is missing today is the context search. So you are still using information, keywords, metadata, and all that. So I kind of borderline an SEO kind of a search.
Actually, just now I mentioned that we integrated the AI inside of the search engine. So that means you will borrow the context actually from the results. That's why I say you can query from the details.
So the prerequisite is I need to run AI locally?
No, the prerequisite is you have to start a keyword. Then you can ask anything about AI, and AI will
I'm
refine.
talking about your infrastructure. Do I need to run it on-prem? Because you say you are limiting to a individual organization's information.
Yes.
So which means you need to run AI locally on-prem.
No, actually it doesn't need. Because nowadays API is configurable anywhere, so they can just configure the API. If they want to use an in-house AI, they can just configure it to be.
Okay, I think you need to think about the security aspects of this, how viable this is. Because API is one of the biggest security risks out there today.
Okay.
Okay?
Yeah.
So please think about it. Your problem statement is not clear, especially when you talk about running inside an organization. It needs to be on-prem. It needs to be secure. So that needs to be addressed first. Okay? Calling API outside of the environment, it's going to be very, very risky. Okay?
Okay, understandable. Yes.
Hi. Actually, I use a lot keyword searching, all this. I heard that you have the database. Where your database from? Because I am one of the exporter. Actually, I do globally business. So your database is similar to what I search from Google, or I use ChatGPT. So what is your benefit if you to do research on this? Because nowadays AI is very, very fast.
Yeah, so the reason that AI is very fast is because it already embed the knowledge inside of the model, so they can answer you very fast. If they are not sure, they will again go to the Google search for you. So that's why I bring in the very beginning, like you are just building the products for AI to work, but I'm building a product to make AI search on my search engine. So it's not just for anyone in the world, it's for inside the organization. So in terms of database, we can call, so I actually streamlined the part of the recorder, like data recorder. So it has an automated system where you can just index the website from the internet, and then you collect yourself. And then if you are your own organization, right, you must have somewhere that you prepare for your documentation. Then you can index it into a database.
Actually, I can suggest you, we have one app we call TikTok. Not the TikTok, TikTok, TINGTALK. This one is an internal apps for a company. So they can collect whatever data inside company. So I think you need to do more research and understanding for your project. Because for computer, for AI, all these, they grow very fast.
I'm actually from China. TikTok is from our country. So what I'm going to say is, the reason we have a multimodal here, right, is because we want to search in every modality, not just including the keyword search, or you can just be an image. A random image you want to search on thousands of documentation. This is something that TikTok doesn't support. I also understand, I also use that software during my student era. So, and I also understand that nowadays there are so many searching algorithms, right? So what it could be different is like, because it contains all modality. So for not just for software company, maybe it's like video click company. They can just use the video to just search for the video they want. So like can be anything as an input. That's my best normality here.
Boleh terima kasih kepada finalis yang ketiga dan kita teruskan lagi dengan finalis yang keempat. Dipersilakan Alex Chan Yan Chuan dengan tajuk FYP-nya Localization Accuracy Evaluation of an Indoor AGV Using Odometry and SLAM-Based Navigation daripada Faculty of Engineering. Dipersilakan.
Okay, so good afternoon, panels and everyone. My name is Alex and I come from Mechanical Engineering Department. So my project is focusing on to do the comparisons of the various AMR navigation methods. AMR means an autonomous mobile robot. Yeah, and then I also developed my own ways of the localization system pipeline to reduce the localization drifts, to reduce the errors. Okay, so why the localization system is very important, because indoor AGVs that do not rely on the GPS, so they need their onboard localization system to do their localization estimations very accurately. And for my experiment, I do the comparisons. I use the 5 ways of the experiment setup. I name it experiment 1 and 2. This experiment is focusing on the to do the testing on the odometry, just the encoder motor on the AGV. Then the experiment 3 and 4 is using the SLAM, simultaneous localizations and mapping. This one is one of the trained localization system for the indoor AGV. And then for the last one, the experiment 5, which I use the combinations of the odometry and also the SLAM to further improve the localization accuracy of the indoor AGV. And yeah, so I will say my experiment pipeline. The pipeline that I designed is that for the experiment 1, this one is a base model. So expectedly, this will cause a very large deviations. So experiment 2, I use that deviations. I treat the deviations. I try to make it as small as possible. Then these deviations, I call it like I post it as a corrected odometry. So I use that corrected odometry plus with the SLAM post estimations combined together to be my experiment 5. The one is the base model of my experiment 5. This one I call the EKF corrected odometry plus the post SLAM estimations. So the result come out is that because I need to focus on my localizations, so I focus on two errors. One is a goal reaching error, another one is the estimations to target error. So the result come out is that the pipeline, my localization system pipeline, has improved around 22% to the goal reaching errors compared with the traditional methods and the SLAM methods, and around 50% of the estimations error compared with the traditional methods. Yeah, so just want to say that my project is to do the systematic pipeline, to develop the systematic pipeline to further reduce both errors, the target reaching and the estimation errors of the robots. That's all from me.
Baiklah, terima kasih kepada finalis kita. Jadi kita buka untuk sesi soal jawab. Jadi 2 minit anda bermula sekarang. Dipersilakan.
Alex, could you perhaps tell me what was the real-life application or use case using an odometry and SLAM-based navigation? I mean, I find the experiment that you've done is very interesting. I'm just trying to figure out how you're going to link it to a real-life use case. Can you share a little bit more?
Sure, understood. Actually, I did my intern in semiconductor field. So I see like most of the, I know that Malaysia is a semiconductor manufacturing hubs. So now it's like they are going to the they are just going to the Smart Factory 4.0. But actually, from the global perspective, Smart Factory 5.0 is already implemented. So this one is like, I want the environment, this one is like, how I link is like, currently there's a concept called the light-off factory. So it's like, the factory is totally monitored and controlled from the robots itself without human interventions. So what I want to say is that there's a multi-robot collaboration. So the robot itself has to fully run autonomously without any accidents. So that's why localization is very important. Because we want the robot to navigate to the place we want, then without colliding to the other robots. This one is the system there in the indoor localization system.
Okay, so you are talking about applying this research or this tech that you are trying to look at more on a manufacturing, a factory, enclosed kind of OT environment.
Yeah, true.
Okay, based on my limited understanding, that already exists. So my next follow-up question is, how can this improve on the existing tech that has been deployed? Because there are a lot of sensors out there, IoT, from the robot's perspective, robot arms, the PLCs, those can be controlled, can be customized, can be streamlined. So there's going to be minimum or close to zero accident.
Yeah, true. I just want to say is that the IoTs in real time is like, we can monitor just using the centralized computer to see is there any accidents or to see the status of the robots, whether there's a collisions or not, right? But for this, right, because my project is using the SLAM, the combinations of one of the techniques is using the SLAM, the simultaneous mapping and localizations. This one is like, compared with the traditional methods, they have more flexibility because SLAM can like somehow, when there's accidents there, like if we are using the traditional methods, we need to reset the robots or what. But for the SLAM, right, once there's an accident or like there's obstacles there, they can replan the routes, the routes to navigate to the destinations. What I'm trying to say is that for the traditional methods, static obstacles they can handle, but for the moving obstacles, this is their weaknesses lah. But for SLAM, they support the moving obstacle avoidance.
Okay, that's good, but I still believe that you need to complement it with other techs like LiDAR,
true.
infrared and all that.
Yeah.
Even the Wi-Fi technology 802.11ax, which can triangulate your location of the so-called movements within that confined space. So yeah, I think you need to perhaps look at how does this improve, how does this complement the existing technology that we have. I think that would be my my main suggestion.
Yeah, sir. Actually, the slam is actually I'm using the combinations of the LiDAR and also the encoder motor. So yeah, I'm using the LiDAR also.
Okay, so you need to explain that because this seems like from the topic, the heading, it's only using one technology. So like I said, I'm conscious of the fact that there are many multiple technologies out there. So how can your research improve it, you know, to complement the other technologies? I think that will be the key thing that you should refine a little bit more. Percentage of improvement, those kind of things. I think that will be very, very useful. Okay, especially things like we're talking about now, level 4 autonomous driving, right? Self-driving car, level 4, whereby they have an actual playbook which can talk about how we can avoid accidents. Yep.
Yeah.
So I think this is very good. Good job.
Thank you.
I want to compare how you talk about link with the SDG.
Oh, SDG, I would say it's the SDG 9, the innovations of the manufacturing industry, that part. Yeah, because for this, right, we can improve the productivities, because we can like quickly, because like for this one, it can somehow, we can apply the robots there, so we can shorten the fulfillment times of one of the factories there, the tasks that human need to exist. Okay, thank you.
Baiklah, terima kasih finalis kita yang keempat. Jadi kita teruskan lagi dengan finalis yang kelima. Dipersilakan Abhishek Prasad Mahendan dengan tajuk final year projectnya, Optimizing Cost and Peak Power Demand in Suburban Residential Areas in Malaysia using Community Energy Storage, Scheduling under Demand Response and Time of Use Tarif daripada Faculty of Engineering.
Hi, good afternoon everyone. My name is Abhishek Prasad, and today I would like to give a bit of a reality check. So every electricity grid has one unforgiving rule. Electricity must be supplied at the exact moment it is demanded. And that is where the pressure is building today. Homes are using more electricity. Air conditioning, appliances, digital electronics, the adoption of EV chargers, and even local data centers are pushing demand far beyond what the grid was initially designed for. But the biggest challenge here is the timing. In the middle of the day, solar can produce clean energy, but in residential communities, the demand happens in the morning and at night, where solar is non-existent. So we are facing a strange problem here. We can have clean energy available at noon, but still stress the grid out. So the future of grid problem is not only how do we generate more electricity, the sharper question is, how do we move electricity to the hour where it actually matters? So the energy industry is already moving towards a two-step problem, two tools, the time of use and demand response. Now, time of use means electricity has a different price at a different time. It is what TNB is using now as an effort of demand response, which is to get consumers to change their behavior throughout the day. Now, all of this, the goal is to reduce the peak demand on the grid. Now, my research asks a practical question. What if we add a stronger layer? What about a community battery? Now, the battery becomes the control center of the neighborhood. Solar gives the community energy, time of use gives the price signal, demand response drives participation, but the battery is the one that's doing the actual work in lowering the demand of the grid at the times when it is highest. So I simulated a Malaysian suburban community of 200 households on MATLAB. So what I did is, I used a Monte Carlo approach, which means I didn't assume every house behaves the same. I built up each household with the probability of having appliances, such as air conditioner, a TV, smart devices, water heaters, and all of these are applied and then normalized until we get an average of 200 communities. Then I added a solar adoption of 40%, where 40% of homes have the solar PV. And then is where I start my simulation. I compared 3 scenarios here. First, the community without solar and battery. Then, the community with solar. And lastly, the community with solar plus a community battery. Now, the battery here used in the study is a 500 kilowatt hour battery with a 250 kilowatt discharge power capacity. Now, the job is simple. Charge when energy is available or cheap, and discharge when the demand is high. So, for Malaysia, right, the goal is this to make residential solar more useful at the community scale. Although this is a very limited research yet, but I believe that the way to manage the grid has to be with managing the timing. Now, by reducing peak demand and improving solar utilization and lowering community electricity costs, this project supports SDG 7, clean energy, and SDG 11 on sustainable communities, and even SDG 13 on climate action, where we are utilizing energy more efficiently and not wasting it. That is all from me. Thank you very much.
Baiklah, terima kasih finalis kelima kita pada hari ini dan kita buka untuk sesi soal jawab. 2 minit anda bermula sekarang.
Abhishek, I have a few questions here, just two. One in industry, but before my question, in industry we already practiced peak and non-peak optimization in terms of energy.
Yeah.
In terms of IoT, we are already implementing.
Yes.
So for industry, it's not really at the moment because the technology already there and done. But in household, I agree with you. Of course, we have the loss of energy, power demand and everything. But I have two questions here because your title is optimizing cost, right? What about the CapEx? So if you're going to do a community energy storage facility, so we have to think who's going to invest into the CapEx.
Yes. Yep,
That's
right.
one, question number one. I just finished with the question number two as well. Second is in terms of the safety, because energy storage requires certain form of what we say in terms of safety, the heat generation, in terms of also others, for example, other UV radiation and so on. So what is your take on these two? Thanks.
Thank you very much for the question. So this is, I think, it's a big question first. So I'll start with answering the second question, right? Which is on the battery safety issues, right? So in fact, large-scale energy storage systems is a thing right now. And what's funny is that Malaysia is the #1 pioneer of manufacturing, actually, these large-scale battery sizes that can be supplied to vessels, can be supplied to an off-grid location, or even somewhere remote. So this technology is not really new. It is very well known, and the safety concerns have already been dealt with. They come in a ready-made enclosures with a box and everything. So if you ask me in terms of the safety concern, I don't really think I can give you a direct answer other than the fact that the industry has already tried it and it's already on the market for sale. So it wouldn't really be a safety concern if it couldn't even make it to market. Now, regarding the first question, right, since I've already explained all of this, whose responsibility is it to purchase the battery and to use it? Now, this is not related to my research, but it's my own personal opinion. I believe that the burden should be on the energy producers, such as Tenaga Nasional Berhad. So with the limited time here, I can't really explain, but my research shows that time of use on residential consumers is an ineffective way to mitigate the peak demand. So the conclusion here is that why are we having a multi-tariff policy for residential consumers when the benefits don't even amount to anything substantial, opposed to a 100K ringgit investment, a one-off investment, other than maintenance costs and lifetime costs? It can definitely reduce the power demand by 35%, far more than what urging the consumers can do. So I believe that in a long-term perspective, TNB has the burden to make sure that our energy infrastructure is safe, clean, and affordable for everyone to use. Thank you.
Just to follow up on that point, right? When you say it's the energy producer's burden, you have to understand the energy producer is here for profit.
Yep.
When they drive profit for their shareholders, this is not their core concern. Let's be crystal clear.
Yep.
Their job is to make money for the company so they can pay the shareholders. So there is no motivation at all for them to do what you suggest, unless it is a national-owned organization. Now, As we know, TMB is privatized. They have increased the tariff. They have revised upward the tariff. Okay? Even with the current off-peak and on-peak hours, it's not aligned to other countries' off-peak and on-peak hours.
Yep.
I'll give you an example. In Australia, the peak hours are 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. Our off-peak hours is 10 o'clock when I'm in bed. So do I wake myself out at 10 o'clock to go and start the washing machine? In Australia, it's 8 o'clock. Very clear cut. 12-hour window, peak, 12-hour off-peak. Right? Now, of course, Australia is also having an energy crisis just like any other country. So to answer your question, I don't think TMB will be very motivated, quote unquote, as a profit-driven organization commercially to do this. We need to come up with a better way. I like the research. I like the idea of a community kind of a battery storage. I think you do got that right on the nail, but I think it's how can we make it possible to benefit the rakyat. I think that's where we are hitting a bit of a brick wall.
Thank you very much for your kind comments. I do agree with you. And that's why I mentioned earlier that that comment to the answer is not really a research-driven, it's my personal belief. Because Malaysia, as we all know, TNB has a monopoly. And we have very little independent power producers here in Malaysia. So, of course, to make a case where profit is a must, as a socialist, which is what I usually align with, right? I do believe that the state has the responsibility for the benefit because energy is a basic human requirement by this era now today. So I believe that the government needs to find a way to pressure companies who has a monopoly like TNB to avoid shifting the pressure onto the community and instead think, what can I do as the producer?
Baiklah, finalis kelima,
Thank you very much.
masa anda telah bertamat. Jadi, terima kasih finalis kelima atas pembentangan anda. Kita teruskan lagi dengan menjemput finalis yang keenam, Yi Jiaji dengan tajuk FYP-nya Identification and Validation of Molecular Markers Associated with Biotic Stresses in Malaysian Rice Varieties daripada Faculty of Science.
Good afternoon to all the panels and fellow students. So my name is Ijaji and I'm from Faculty of Science. And my project topic is identification and validation of molecular markers associated with biotic stresses in Malaysian rice varieties. So rice is a vital crop that most of our Asians take it as a main sources of energy because it contains carbohydrates, right? But do you ever think that rice will also catch disease because it's an organism? And the biotic stresses that I'm focusing on is rice blast and rice stone growth, which these are two common diseases that actually had occurs outbreaks in Malaysia before. But there are still least knowledge that we know, and therefore this study is very important for us. And currently there are a lot of rural areas that are actually breeding a variety of rices that they are actually susceptible to certain diseases. So for the methodology part, I'll break down in just simple words. So firstly, I did the DNA extraction, and later on, I did the DNA extraction, and later on we'll do the singleplex PCR, which it also contains some selected molecular markers. And after all, we will do gel electrophoresis, which is the method we visualize under UV light to see the exact band size of the results. And there is also two ladders, which we call it as 50 and 100 base pair ladders, so that we can know the exact band sizes of the result of the variety. So for the discussions, fortunately we found that the results are good and they all show polymorphism, which is there are difference in sizes of the bands of rice varieties. And therefore, we validate that the singleplex PCR method is useful. They are good DNA quality, and the PCR condition is optimized. And there are one variety that we found out that is resistant towards both of the biotic stresses, which is MR272. And what's interesting is this variety can be contribute to maybe a donor parent plant for breeding purposes, or it can be gene pyramiding. So gene pyramiding is actually a technique which you combining two interested of the gene into one crops. So yeah, the study able to support the application of marker-assisted selection, which I hope the study can further improve the disease resistance in Malaysian rice breeding programs. And yeah, there are actually limitations in these studies, which I hope that there is further studies that can use this as references, which they are visualizing the phenotype validation, which we have to see when the actual variety, when they're exposed to biotic stresses, they can really withstand the disease or not, or it just they sometimes they might have possesses the desired gene in them, but sometimes
Baiklah,
these
terima
not.
kasih finalis ke-6. Jadi kita teruskan, kita buka untuk sesi soal jawab. Jadi 2 minit anda bermula sekarang.
Hi, Yi. Rice is very important. So your research, is it affect human health? You say you do the biotic stresses, you change the DNA, all these things, right? So it says affect human health.
It's not affecting human health. Actually, this is a link to a question which there are many people concerned about GMO food, which is genetic modified food, but actually people do not know that an altered gene plant crops or source of food, it won't affect our DNA as well, and there's no studies prove that it will affect our health.
How about the weather? Weather affect the plant or not?
Yes, the climate change is a crucial problem. And we know that Malaysia, we have really high humidity, high temperatures. It's very easy for fungus and viruses to break out and just pass around. And actually for science research, I encourage people to do research. Like we cannot assume data that we obtained in 20, 30 years ago is relevant, still relevant, because we know that organisms, they will just develop new genes and stuff, so we can't trust that that's still a relevant source.
Ijia,
yes.
Are you a biological background student or chemical background student, or are you a chemist or?
I'm not a chemist. I'm biotechnology.
Biology. Okay, all right. Anyway, just this. Any specific reason why you did this study on biotic stress in Malaysian rice varieties? Because what is the main objective of that research that you did?
Yeah. I would say that this research is like puzzles, because biotech is quite a new thing right here. So we have a thing we call a gene bank. So we need more and more people to do research on genetic stuff so that we can fulfill more data to our database. So when there is anything happen in the future, we can already be prepared with upcoming new varieties that we breed. It might be one of the possible purpose we do.
Yeah. Thanks for highlighting me, because I'm more an engineering and chemical background. So I'm trying to relate that to my understanding. All right, thanks.
Sorry.
Baiklah, terima kasih.
Sorry, just one quick question. How many varieties have you tested? Because based on my understanding, there are at least 1,000 different type of varieties. So natural selection would have sorted out. I understand you're talking about doing the stress test and all that stuff. Yeah, so how many varieties did you investigate?
I actually investigated 5 modern Malaysian rice varieties.
Okay, I think you need to expand that a little bit more.
Yeah.
One of the documentaries I've seen for Japan itself, they are planting 200 different varieties locally, which they do not export. It's for local consumption only. So I'm sure in Malaysia, we do have varieties that are biotic stress resistant that can actually work, but we just have to find it.
Okay, thank you.
Baiklah, terima kasih kepada finalis yang ke-6 dan kita teruskan lagi dengan finalis yang ke-7. Dipersilakan Sharan Ganesan dengan tajuk FYP-nya Kongsi Raya Forecaster Malaysia Aware Weekly Demand Forecasting for Few SKU and SMEs. Daripada Faculty of Computer Science and Information Technology. Dipersilakan.
Good evening. So my name is Sharan Ganesan, and today my project is Kongsi Raya Forecaster, Malaysia Aware Weekly Demand Forecasting for SMEs. So demand forecasting model in Malaysia, they are actually Malaysia unaware, which means that they only forecast based on the past data they have. So events like Hari Raya, Chinese New Year, and Deepavali, they actually have a build up and a cool down period where there are also spikes which the demand forecasting model in Malaysia currently they do not take care of. So what I actually did was I actually implemented a Tutika's engine which actually takes all these Malaysia aware features. Then I developed a demand forecasting model. Then I also had to map all these lead up and cool down periods for all of these festivals and monsoon periods and together with all the pay days, including with the Kumpulan A and B holidays. So the methodology that I used was I actually had to collect all of the holidays and including the festivals in Malaysia for 7 years from 2020 to 2027, then I actually mapped them in a calendar year. After that, I used a light GBM model, which was using a 3D algorithm because a 3D algorithm actually minimizes the model going into a negative threshold because as we know, SMEs, they do not sell products every day. So some days they have 0 products, some days they have 2. So the 3D algorithm actually manages this perfectly. And I also had to use a global horizon strategy to eliminate the data leakage because the model might act for some SMEs, they actually might predict for the next 2 weeks. So when the model predicts for the first week, the model will look at the first week's data to go into the second week, and we do not want that. So what we do is we actually freeze the first week's prediction, then the model actually uses the past what it had, then it predicts the second week. Then for validation, we actually do not use the 80-20 split for the AI. We actually train using a walk-forward strategy by training from January to March, then testing it on April and such. So as we proceed, the Chutika's model actually performed better than the baseline model as the MAE was actually improved and the recall was also 100% as the model successfully informed the store owners that they actually had to restock. I also had implemented a SHAP experimental AI to explain the store owners why this prediction was made and such. And we also have a Google API Gemini to explain the SHAP predictions to the store owners who do not understand graphs because some of the graphs, they actually show what leads to the prediction in terms of the holidays and the monsoon periods and such. So in conclusion, this Tutika's model actually helps the SME owners to actually increase revenue and prevent overstocking. Thank you.
Baiklah, terima kasih finalis ke-7. Jadi kita buka untuk sesi soal jawab. Dipersilakan.
Sharon, you mentioned that your data set is from 2000 to 2027 only?
Sorry, it's from 2020 to 2027.
Why didn't you include it bigger? That seems like a very small data set per my point of view.
So it's actually just to map the holidays and teach the model when the holidays might contribute to spikes in business.
Understand,
yes.
But our country was formed in 1957. So if you talk about Kongsi Raya, rightfully you should look at 1958 onwards, but you're just picking a small data set. So I'm just trying to understand your rationale, why you are limiting that to such a short period of time.
Actually, we also tried including more years, but then as I included more years, the model became very heavy and the testing, the time it took to predict was longer. And I also found out that the accuracy that I needed was already in that 7 years. And if I included more years, it just increased a bit.
Okay, so the accuracy we're talking about, what percentage we're talking about here? Just help me to understand that. When you say 7 years was already accurate, how accurate is accurate?
It was somewhere near 90 to 93%.
I think you need to hit probably 98 to be accurate. 92, 95%, it's not good enough. See if you can up it to 98 or close to 99. Because anything less than 98, from a commercial standpoint, I would not trust it. You understand the reason why I'm suggesting a slightly bigger data set?
Baiklah, terima kasih. Itu saja untuk sesi soal jawab kita. Kita teruskan lagi dengan finalis yang ke-8. Dipersilakan Doris Chan Hui Man dengan tajuk FYP-nya Valorization of Spent Mushroom Substrate as Alternative Substrate for Mushroom Cultivation daripada Faculty of Science.
Hello.
Dipersilakan.
Hi, good evening everyone. Have you ever wondered what if the waste generated from growing mushroom could be used to grow mushroom again? Well, every year, large amounts of spent mushroom substrate or SMS are generated as a byproduct of the mushroom cultivation industry. Although these materials still contain residual nutrients and organic components, it is often discarded as waste. This leads to disposal problems and also environmental concerns. At the same time, mushroom cultivations continue to rely heavily on fresh sawdust, which increase the demand for natural resources. This challenge highlights the need to transition from a linear system of take, use, and dispose to a circular economy, where waste is reused and transformed into valuable resources. Therefore, my research aims to evaluate the potential of spent mushroom substrate as an alternative substrate for mushroom cultivation. This supports the Sustainable Development Goal, especially SDG 12, which focus on responsible consumption and production through waste reduction and resource efficiency. In these studies, I investigated 8 pleurotus species, or commonly known as oyster mushrooms, grown on 3 different types of SMS and compare their performance with conventional rubber wood sawdust as the control. The substrates were supplemented with rice bran and adjusted to suitable pH before inoculation and the incubation under controlled laboratory conditions. Throughout the incubation period, 3 parameters are consistently monitored. First, the mycelial growth rate, which is how fast the mycelia grow. Second, days required for full colonization, means how many days required for the mycelium to completely colonize the substrate. And third, the mycelial density, how healthy is the mycelium. The findings revealed that the selected pleurotus species exhibited comparable mycelial growth rates, colonization periods, and mycelial density on SMS compared to sawdust. This suggests that SMS has the potential to support active mycelial growth. In conclusion, this research demonstrates that what is traditionally considered as an agricultural waste can be transformed into a valuable resource. By extending the life cycle of the spent mushroom substrate, we can reduce waste generation, minimize dependence on fresh cultivation materials, and contribute towards a more sustainable and circular mushroom cultivation industry. Thank you.
Baiklah, terima kasih finalis ke-8. Jadi kita buka sesi soal jawab.
Doris.
Yes.
I just want to ask you, spent mushroom substrate, right, compared to using other material as to grow mushroom, do you compare in terms of that process, especially the life cycle and also the cost? Because we are also from waste industry. Most of the time, it's not the technology is the issue. The issue is the cost to convert the waste into the raw material, where the virgin material become more cheaper than the recycled material. So did you look into the cost factor into your research?
Well, my study is just a preliminary screening to test if SMS can be a substitute for the fresh sodas. However, in current mushroom industry, actually farmers spend lots of money to dispose the spent mushroom substrate because they are actually weight and heavy. So they need to spend money on the transportation to dump them into the landfills, or they choose the cheaper version, which is directly burn the spent mushroom substrate, which leads to environmental concerns like air pollution, obviously. So compared to using spent mushroom substrate, they can use their own waste. They just need to supplement with a little bit of additional nutrients, which is the rice bran as the nitrogen source to support the mycelia growth. Yeah, that's my answer. Thank you so much.
Can you express more about the nitrogen source?
Oh, okay.
I mean, what is the process when you reuse the substrate?
Oh, okay. So nitrogen source, because for the healthy growth of the mycelium, they actually need suitable carbon to nitrogen ratio. So for the spent mushroom substrate, they mostly composed of lignocellulosic materials, which is almost carbon source. So we need to add rice bran for the nitrogen source. How we process the spent mushroom substrate, am I correct? So after a few cycles, so the spent mushroom substrate can be dried again, supplemented with the rice bran, and converted into the growth medium for the mushroom for another few rounds of cultivation.
Baiklah, terima kasih finalis ke-8, masa anda telah pun tamat.
Thank you so much.
Jadi kita teruskan lagi dengan finalis yang ke-9. Dipersilakan Muhammad Aiman Al-Amin bin Muhammad Azhar dengan tajuk FYP-nya Durability of Eco-Friendly Concrete Using Home-Brewed Silicate Under Acid, Sulfate and Seawater Exposure daripada Faculty of Engineering. Dipersilakan.
Assalamualaikum and good evening to a panel of judges and the audiences. So I'm Aiman from Faculty of Engineering. So before I start, I would like to explain about like 3 concepts in my study here. So first concept is geopolymer concrete. So it's different for the conventional concrete because it's much more eco-friendly because the main binder of the concrete is based mainly on industrialized like waste byproduct. So it's produced like less carbon footprint here. And the second concept here is sodium silicate, which is sodium silicate is like a chemical admixture we put into the geopolymer concrete in order like to provide extra strength, particularly because of the element silica in the sodium silicate here. So like commercially, it's very expensive and also high carbon footprint also. So that's why my study used homebrew one, because it's like much more eco-friendly because it used the geopolymer concrete. It used the mainly byproduct of industrialized product here, and also like much more like sustainable material which are more abundant in nature. And then third concept here is the durability. So durability for concrete is basically the resistance of the concrete against the chemical attack. So it's governed mainly the parameter here is the permeability of the concrete itself. So for my study here, I mainly focus on 3 exposure only, which are the acid, sulfate, and seawater exposure. So how do I introduce the exposure to my concrete samples? So after mixing and curing my samples for 28 days, which is 28 days is equivalent to the full strength of the concrete theoretically. So I immerse my concrete inside a tank filled with the acid solution, sulfate solution, also seawater, which obtained naturally by in lab scale. Also, my comparison here is mainly about only 4 mixes. First is the conventional OPC, the conventional concrete. Second is the geopolymer concrete using the commercial sodium silicate. And then the third one is using and then the other 2 is using the homebrew sodium silicate with different composition to homebrew it. So like my finding about my study here is the strength. We found like it is achievable because like my homebrew sodium silicate concrete here is obtained like better strength than the conventional concrete that I have obtained. So that's all for my presentation. Thank you.
Baiklah, terima kasih finalis yang ke-9. Jadi kita buka sesi soal jawab kepada juri. 2 minit anda bermula sekarang.
I think it's good that you do a research using acid, sulfate, and seawater exposure. But based on my understanding of concrete, I think my key concern would be the strength.
Yeah.
Did you measure the strength?
All right, thank you for the question. So actually the strength is like my main parameter to test the durability. I think I didn't explain it like very clearly. So after exposed to this condition here, so how to determine like is it performance? We conduct it the compressive strength, the cube compressive strength here. So that's how I come to the conclusion that some of my home brew, there are 2 home brew, but one is achieved. They get a better result than the conventional one, but the other one is like it's almost equal as a conventional one. So
okay,
yeah.
So you do need to include the strength measurement, and also based on your formula of this concrete, how does that equate to the concrete that we have in the market? Because in Malaysia, we do have a specific grade of concrete that we use, equivalent to the strength, equivalent to where we can apply those specific type of concrete.
You mean like the mixture or like the application?
The formula that you have, which
formula.
is what you did the research, I would like to see a comparison table with the type of what we call concrete that we use in Malaysia. What is the approved standards? So I think you need to perhaps include that if you haven't.
You mean like the data actually?
Yes, the data,
yeah, I
the
have
tests,
the data
and all
in
that.
the presentation
Yeah.
here.
Correct. It's okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, hang on. Aiman, this eco-friendly concrete, did you synthesis yourself or did you buy and this?
We actually buy because the eco-friendly here because we use the industrialized waste product. Yeah.
Sorry again?
Industrialized waste product here.
Oh, from the waste.
Yeah, because like it's contain like 0%
Yeah.
of the conventional one.
That's why it sounds very familiar to me because we do synthesize green cement from fly ash and bottom ash. That's why I was wonder where do you, so you just buy this material.
Yeah, can I explain more? So like for the mixture, it's eco-friendly because it's 100% before replacement of the OPC. Because the
Okay.
fly ash and GGBS usually they use as partially. So like 30% and then 70% is OPC. But this one is like 70% GGBS and 30% fly ash. So no OPC in it.
Okay. What is the compressive strength that you achieve using this? Just roughly. Don't have to be so super accurate. Yeah.
Roughly the compressive strength I obtained. Yeah, like my study that I've used. From 46.48 to 53.
53.
Yeah.
Oh, it's quite good.
Hey, wait. That's 49 to 51. That's ambient before
Okay, all right,
exposure.
but that range is already above the Malaysian standard. Yeah, already above. Okay, all right, thank you.
Baiklah, terima kasih panel juri dan finalis ke-9. Jadi kita teruskan lagi dengan finalis yang terakhir. Dipersilakan Yo Juanru dengan tajuk FYP-nya Development of Computational Codes for Evaluating Battery Thermal Behavior Under Dynamic Charging daripada Faculty of Engineering. Dipersilakan.
My test, okay. So good evening, everyone. I'm Shenru from Department of Chemical Engineering, right? So let's start from the introduction. Currently, lithium-ion battery has been widely used in electrical vehicles due to its lightweight, high energy density, and long lifespan. However, currently the critical safety concern is that battery temperature higher than 60 degrees Celsius might lead to thermal runaway, such as fire and explosion. So in our project, we mainly will focus on the fully computational code to replace the experimental testing which require high cost and time. So this project mainly have three main objectives, which is firstly to develop the MATLAB code, secondly validate the developed MATLAB code against the published experimental data, and thirdly to conduct parametric study. Okay, so in order to form my MATLAB code, the code need to including the battery specifications and selected heat transfer equation. So the battery model they selected in this project is Panasonic NCR18650B cylindrical lithium-ion battery, which is one of the battery that currently used in EVs. Right, so the parametric study will be conducted by varying the charging rate, discharging rate, ambient temperature, and convective heat transfer coefficient. So in my study, all the equation will be solved by MATLAB solver, which is ODE45 dynamically. So in my results, I get the graph train that align with the theoretical findings, which is when the C rate increases, this cause the heat generation to increase and the battery temperature will be increasing and causing safety hazard as well. So the purpose of parametric study being conducted is mainly to achieve the energy efficiency purpose and identifying the coolant type, flow, and velocity, as well as to improve the overall cooling performance, right? So in my study, I also found that actually the main factor that caused the battery sensitivity to be increased is the C rate. So in all, this project show a large potential for automobile industry to use this computational code for preliminary analysis for battery thermal behavior and act as educational tool in such a lower cost and faster manner. So this project achieved SDG, which are SDG 7, 9, 11, 12, and 13. For the future plan for this project is that edging analysis and machine learning optimization can be incorporated, and the validation can be conducted under the ultra fast charging condition, right? I think that's all from me. Thank you.
Boleh terima kasih finalis ke-10 kita. Jadi sebelum kita buka sesi soal jawab, diingatkan kepada semua juri bahawa sesi soal jawab adalah hanya 2 minit sahaja. Saya ulang, 2 minit sahaja berdasarkan paparan masa di skrin. Jadi terima kasih, kita buka kepada sesi soal jawab. Dipersilakan.
This is a very interesting topic to me because I find it, I see it every day, okay? So my question to you is, this computation code that you are developing, right? Can you go down a little bit more details? What are you monitoring and how are you helping to maintain the dynamic charging?
Okay, so the main thing that I monitor is actually battery temperature, and the manipulated variable that in my computational tools is mainly the charging rate, ambient temperature, and also cooling conditions. So the purpose of this code is mainly to identify which coolant that can achieve such cooling condition to equal to the heat generation caused by this battery. So the battery cooling system can be managed in an efficient way.
Okay, I would suggest to include the charging cycle count as well. Because lithium battery is notorious. Okay, I manage technologies, things like laptops. So laptop batteries, after an average of 2 years, they will get what I call pregnant. They will expand because of the heating. So it is actually an HSE concern. It may leak acid, it may overheat, it may cause smoke coming up. I've seen it before, okay?
Okay.
I used to work for this company called Dewan. I managed the factory team, so I understand this is a concern. So I think this research is important as we continue to use the lithium battery in a lot of our devices, even our mobile phones and whatnot. But I think you need to look at it more holistically, not just the life cycle count. Also, you need to look at the user behavior. When do they charge it?
Baiklah, terima kasih.
Okay.
Terima kasih kepada
Good
panel
topic.
juri dan terima kasih kepada finalis kita yang terakhir. Jadi dengan berakhirnya pembentangan yang terakhir tadi, maka berakhirlah pertandingan 3-minute pitching bagi kategori Sains Teknologi. Kepada ke-10 finalis, tahniah diucapkan kerana berjaya mara ke peringkat yang seterusnya dan tahniah atas penyertaan pembentangan projek tahun akhir anda sebentar tadi. Sebelum menutup pertandingan 3-minute pitching, majlis menjemput panel juri dan para finalis kategori Sains Teknologi untuk naik ke pentas bagi sesi bergambar. Dipersilakan. Baiklah, untuk makluman hadirin juga, baiklah, jadi panel juri dan finalis boleh tengok di kamera hadapan. Semua bagi senyuman yang paling manis. Senyum. 1, 2, 3. Okey. Sekali lagi kita buat freestyle. Okey, bagi thumbs up. Okey, semua. Say cheese. 1, 2, 3. Tunjukkan rasa bangga anda sebagai finalis top 10 bagi kategori Sains Teknologi. Boleh, terima kasih atas sesi fotografi itu tadi. Jadi kita akan teruskan lagi dengan sesi pembentangan yang seterusnya bagi kategori Sains Sosial. Jadi kami akan maklumkan sekiranya kami akan mulakan bagi sesi yang seterusnya. Terima kasih. Baiklah hadirin sekalian, selepas ini kita akan berlangsungkan pertandingan 3-minute pitching bagi kategori Sains Sosial dan kepada mereka yang bukan peserta finalis top 10 untuk sesi pitching untuk kategori Sains Sosial, mungkin anda boleh ajak lagi kawan-kawan anda kerana bagi kategori ini juga kita akan adakan 10% untuk kategori favorite daripada audience. Jadi jangan sia-siakan peluang, sila panggil kawan-kawan anda untuk hadir sekali dan scan kod QR yang dipaparkan di skrin hadapan untuk anda vote top 3 favorite presentation anda pada hari ini. Terima kasih. Baiklah hadirin sekalian, kini tibalah saat yang dinanti-nantikan, iaitu sesi 3-minute pitching bagi kategori Sains Sosial, di mana 10 finalis terbaik akan mara ke sesi ini dan membentangkan projek penyelidikan tahun akhir mereka. Memperkenalkan panel juri yang akan menilai pertandingan ini. Panel juri yang pertama, Mr. Muhammad Alif bin Muhammad Noor. yang merupakan penerbit di Radio Televisyen Malaysia RTM dengan kepakaran dalam penerbitan berita, komunikasi massa dan strategi media. Panel juri yang kedua, Mr. S. Muhammad Yusman bin S. Muhammad Ghazali yang merupakan pengarah kreatif YG Film Sindiran Berhad dan penggiat industri kandungan televisyen yang berpengalaman dalam penerbitan drama, dokumentari dan penceritaan berimpak tinggi. Panelis yang ketiga, Major Dr. Fazlina Muhammad yang merupakan pegawai tentera dan profesional berpengalaman dengan kepakaran dalam kepimpinan strategik, pembangunan modal insan dan ketahanan komuniti. Dan panel juri yang terakhir, Mr. Kalai Selvan Cinatambi yang merupakan pakar pembangunan perniagaan dan strategi pertumbuhan dengan lebih 20 tahun pengalaman dalam pengurusan, pendidikan serta pembangunan sumber manusia. Berikan tepukan gemuruh buat panel juri kita. Baiklah hadirin sekalian, bagi penilaian markah, 90% markah adalah daripada penilaian penuh juri, manakala 10% markah adalah daripada penilaian penonton. QR code akan dipaparkan di skrin di hadapan, jadi perhatian kepada semua juri juga. Sebelum kita mulakan sesi pembentangan kita, ingin kami maklumkan bahawa sesi soal jawab adalah terhad kepada hanya 2 minit sahaja. Saya ulang, 2 minit sahaja berdasarkan paparan masa di skrin. Terima kasih atas kerjasama anda. Baiklah, bagi merancangkan lagi sesi kita pada petang ini, majlis menjemput finalis yang pertama. Nurhani Zahira binti Mat Sokhar dengan tajuk FYP-nya, The Effectiveness of Using Comics in Enhancing Arabic Vocabulary Acquisition among first-year students at the Department of Arabic Language and Middle Eastern Languages, Universiti of Malaya daripada Faculty of Languages and Linguistics.
Okay, Assalamualaikum and hi everyone. My name is Nurhani Zahira and I'm from Arabic Department in Faculty of Language and Linguistics. So this is my title for my final year project. The reason I choose this project is because I like comics and I want to use comic as a medium to learn Arabic language. As you guys know, vocabulary is an important part in language learning acquisition to mastering the 4 core language skills, which is speaking, reading, listening, and writing. And I find that Arabic students always learn language with boring list and repetitive writing. So I want to change from traditional text-based method to modern method. So for the methodology, I use dual coding theory, which combine verbal and non-verbal imagery. So I collected data from a real educational environment inside the classroom. So the result, I find that students who use comic gets higher marks. So in conclusion, I hope this study can inspire more people, including non-Muslim, to appreciate Arabic language and also comics. Arabic language should not be seen as a language only for Muslim, but as a language rich with value that can be enjoyed by everyone. And I also hope that more comics will be produced in Arabic in the future, as they can serve as an interactive medium for learning the language. That's all from me.
Baiklah, terima kasih finalis kita yang pertama. Jadi kita buka sesi soal jawab kepada panel juri. Dipersilakan.
Okay, I have a question here. Regarding your research, what is the main problem of this research?
I find that it's difficult to find Arabic comics.
Miss, not your problem. This research problem is.
The size of vocabulary among students in Arabic department.
Okay. Okay, I have another question. Any solutions for the research?
So
regarding from the problems you arise just now, you have any solutions? I mean, maybe future development?
I hope that there are more industry comics that make Arabic comics so that people will interest to learn Arabic language.
To gain interest?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you for me. The others don't have other question.
Baiklah, terima kasih finalis kita yang pertama. Jadi kita teruskan lagi dengan finalis kita yang kedua. Dipersilakan Lau Jian Yong dengan tajuk FYP-nya From Kampung to Condominium, Social Spatial Transformation and the Erosion of Community in Malaysia's High-Rise Habitats daripada Fakulti Built Environment. Dipersilakan.
MC, kejap. Boleh tak bagi judge 1 minit aja? Kita nak key in the score for yang tadi je. Kejap. So, Lau, hold on. Just give us a minute. Sekejap je.
Baiklah, boleh.
Kita tak sempat nak key in the score. Kejap.
Baiklah finalis kita yang berada di atas pentas, jangan gementar. Sabar, kita tunggu juri kita. Dan kepada hadirin yang hadir pada hari ini, jangan lupa untuk scan QR code yang terpapar di hadapan untuk anda vote favorite presenter anda pada hari ini. Dan mungkin jadi mungkinkah presentation sebentar tadi adalah favorite anda ataupun mungkinkah ini akan jadi favorite presenter anda selepas saja anda mendengar lepas ini. Jadi nantikan kita akan teruskan dengan finalis yang kedua selepas sekejap saja lagi.
Are we okay? Judges? Yeah, we can continue. Okay, silakan.
Baiklah, finalis kedua 3 minit anda bermula sekarang.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Lau Jian Yong, and I'm from Department of Architecture. So today I'm going to start my presentation with just a simple observation. Do you realize that the people nowadays are trying to expand vertically? They move into the condominiums and live away from the traditional kampong. So this have solved the issue of the land scarcity, but at the same time, it caused the issue of the lack of the community interaction. So in the traditional kampong, the house itself is not just a unit. It's not just a living environment. It's actually a social system. As I say, the ancestor is very smart. They designed the serambi, the open veranda. They provide the spaces around the house, which is not only used for daily activities, but it provides the social interaction. They allow the people to play with their neighbor. Like a nenek, they sit at the serambi, and they say hi to the people just walking by. It actually has built the social connection within the community. But nowadays, when we move towards the condominium, everyone just stays inside their typical unit. The corridor, the lift lobby, just proposed to be used for circulation purpose. So we have lost that kind of social interaction within each other. And this has led to the one main question. How can we bring the kampong spirit toward the Malaysia vertical living ecosystem? To study this, I have conducted the systematic literature review and using the PRISMA guidelines to do the research. And there are three key issues that we are identified. First, the loss of the liminal spaces. The surrounding used as the social buffer between the private and the public life. But nowadays, we're having the small space at the entrance within the condo unit we just use for putting their shoes. So where is it? It's getting disappear. And the second one is the high-rise density has created cognitive overload. So here's the situation. I think everyone faces the same issue where we are living in the condominium or when we go to the shopping mall. When we stand inside the lift, actually we feel don't want to talk to each other. We look in our phone and also we stay quiet. Even we're talking to our friend, we will just suddenly become quiet. So why is it about? This is due to the Dunbar's social brand hypothesis. Each people only can be having a good social relationship within 150 people only. With a tower of the residents, which have about thousands of people, we are trying to refuse to get social connection with each other. So actually, you don't talk to each other inside the lift. It's not a problem. It's not about your rude or maybe like impolite. It's actually a real situation where your brand cannot be social anymore because you are faced too much of stranger in a daily life. And the third is the strata governance. So it's often we think about is we don't need to maintain every facilities or the cleanliness by ourselves. Before this, we need to do gotong royong to make the whole kampong is very nice, very clean. But nowadays, we just think like, we pay to the JMB, they should do for us. It's their responsibility. So this has caused the people less getting each other together again.
Baiklah, terima kasih finalis yang kedua. 3 minit anda telah pun tamat. Jadi kita buka sesi soal jawab kepada juri. Dipersilakan.
I'm sure you have more to say, Lau. Fantastic. Let's give him a big round of applause. That was a very impactful 3 minutes. I go through this. I lived in a condominium. I agree with what you said. But my question is to you is what are the activities that you think can be done in condominiums to improve this erosion? Lau.
Since my research actually have been provide the solution where we try to do it through the architectural way. So for example, if you see the like one of the building called as the vertical kampong in Singapore, they actually have planned to do like the combined gardens within each unit. So they target the user is having the neighborhood together. They can garden the farm together every day. It's actually like the kampong but in vertical way. So we can connect it with each other. We want to provide some activities where all the people can take the responsibility together. That's how we connect people together again. It's not we try to pass it to other people. So another way I think is also adding on some sky surroundings inside the lift lobby. For example, we wait in front of the lift lobby, just wait for the lift coming and go towards the car park. But why don't we add on some resting area in each floor or maybe like one stop the resting area among like few floor in one compartment so we can having the people just stay there, pause for a while. When you're sitting there, actually, when you see the same faces every day, you will start talking to each other. Like the previous one, the people who cook inside the kitchen, they will see every day with their neighbors, actually they will start talking. Because you recognize that face every day. So you will try to see, can I be friend with you? So that is another strategy that I provided.
Baiklah, terima kasih finalis kedua. 2 minit anda telah pun tamat. Jadi sebelum kita bergerak kepada finalis yang ketiga, kita nak bagi masa 1 minit sahaja kepada juri-juri kita untuk key in markah dan kita akan teruskan lagi dengan finalis yang seterusnya. Baiklah panel juri, adakah anda bersedia untuk finalis yang seterusnya? Baiklah, dengan itu kita mempersilakan finalis yang ketiga, Go Xiao Ro dengan tajuk FYP-nya, Dynamic Linkages Between Gold Prices and Stock Markets, a Global Analysis daripada Faculty of Business and Economics. Dipersilakan.
Greetings to all juries, fellow lecturer, and fellow friends in DTC Now. My name is Go Charo, and I will be presenting my research project titled Dynamic Linkages Between Gold Prices and Stock Markets, a Global Analysis. Imagine your entire retirement saving just lost 40% overnight. That was the reality for millions of people in 2008. The stock market collapsed, bank failed, people panic. But there was one asset, sitting quietly for values that went up. This is gold. But fast forward to March 2020, another crisis happened, COVID-19 pandemic. Stock crashed again, and this time, gold fell also. So, which is it? Is the gold the ultimate safe haven, or is this just a myth we tell ourselves when we are scared? That question has cost investors billions in wrong decisions, and that is exactly what my research set out to answer. Using a systematic review of over 1,000 research papers spanning from 2000 to 2026, guided by Prisma framework, we found three things. First, in the short run, gold is unpredictable. It's driven by panic, sentiment, and portfolio rebalancing. Two, in the long run, gold follows economy fundamentals, such as inflation, income growth, and even interest rate. Over time, gold protects. And the last one is the most important. Gold effectiveness depends entirely on where you are and when you use it. In developed markets, like US, Germany, gold is a reliable shade. In emerging markets like Malaysia, Brazil, India, the picture is much more complex because it can be shaped by politics, exchange rate, and even cultural gold demand. All right, let's look into the proof. Back to 2008, stock fell 40%. Gold rose 5.5% and climbed all the way to US dollar 1,895 by 2011. That is a 127% gains in 4 years, while global equity investment was still recovering their loss. In 2020, yes, gold dipped initially, but within 5 months, it hits an all-time record of US dollar 2,070 per ounce. Today, in 2026, with inflation, geopolitical tensions, and rate uncertainty still shaping markets, gold remains one of the most relevant assets in any serious portfolio. Comes to the end, my conclusion, gold is not a magic. It is not always a safe haven, but when you use it with the right understanding at the right time, in the right market, it is one of the most powerful tools for protecting wealth in an uncertain world.
Baiklah, finalis yang kedua, masa anda telah pun tamat. Jadi kita buka untuk sesi soal jawab kepada panel juri. Dipersilakan.
I go. I think it's a good presentation. You're about to say the summary. So I just want to understand, when you do this research, right, you said you have covered how many research again?
From 2000 to 2026, 26 years.
And how many researchers are there? I mean, literature?
1,000.
So it's over the 26 years, right? So how do you find the movement of the gold price over these 26 years?
Actually, gold is volatile, depends on the crisis or the situation, but it remains stable because when the war or the crisis happens, gold act as a safe haven or act as a hedge to protect your wealth. Yes. Any question?
Okay, from your research here, the dynamic linkages between gold prices and stock market, which one you think the most relevant to choose by the consumer the best among these two comparisons?
My answer for that question is diversification. Use gold as a mid or long-term hedge so that when the crisis has happened, it can protect the world immediately, but not expecting use gold as a one-day protection.
All right, another one. What methodology did you use to find the results of your research here?
We are using a systematic literature review and following the Prisma framework, and we collect the data from all the journals from 2000 to 2006.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Baiklah finalis yang ketiga, masa anda telah pun tamat. Jadi terima kasih diucapkan kepada finalis ketiga dan panel juri. Jadi kita teruskan lagi dengan finalis yang keempat. Dipersilakan Chan Chi Wai dengan tajuk FYP-nya Food Price Inflation and Household Food Consumption in Malaysia, a Systematic Literature Review daripada Faculty of Business and Economics. Dipersilakan. Okay.
Kejap seminit. Nak bagi markah ni bukannya senang ni.
Baiklah finalis keempat boleh bersedia di atas pentas. Jangan mula dulu, kita tunggu juri kita untuk key in markah. Dan di sementara itu, hadirin yang hadir pada hari ini, bolehlah scan kod QR yang dipaparkan di skrin hadapan untuk anda vote presenter kegemaran anda pada hari ini. Mana tahu mungkin presenter yang bersedia di atas adalah presenter favourite anda, kita tak tahu, sama-sama kita saksikan. Baiklah, saya rasa juri kita dah bersedia. Baiklah, tanpa melengahkan masa, kita mempersilakan finalis yang keempat. Dipersilakan.
My test. Okay. Good evening every judge and my fellow friend, and selamat sejahtera kepada iFEST. So, my name is Chi Wai. Before I start the presentation, actually today most of the Malaysians not realize that the inflation is happen gradually. Until when we go to the supermarket and we take the 100 ringgit and we found that there is not enough to buy our thing enough. So that is based on this situation, food price inflation has become one of the major concerns affecting the Malaysian household. So since the food is a basic necessity, rising food price already reduced our purchasing power and increased the cost of living. So that this objective of this study is to try to examine the determinant of food price inflation and impact to the household food consumption pattern and how the consumer will respond during the inflation period. So there's a three finding that. The first finding is that the food price inflation is driven by the multiple factors, including the macroeconomic factor such as the oil price and exchange rate, external shocks such as the global supply chain disruption, and the government policy factor. So the second finding is that the impact of rising food price significantly reduced the household purchasing power. As the food become more expensive, households face a greater financial pressure and are forced to adjust their spending priorities. So the last finding is that consumer how to respond it, that is become more price sensitive and changing their purchasing behavior. So many households switch to the lower cost alternative and focus more on the affordability when making the food purchasing decision. So this finding conclude that the food price inflation is not only an economic issue, but also is a social welfare and the food security issues. So this research actually is contribute to a better understanding of how the food price inflation affect the Malaysia household and support the SDG 2, that is zero hunger, by highlighting the importance of the food affordability and food security. So actually, this finding can contribute to the policymaker in their developing strategy to improve the food affordability and strengthen the domestic food reliance and protect the vulnerable household from the impact of the rising food price. So in conclusion, the food price inflation in not only what household buy, but also how they allocated their resource and maintain their well-being. That's all for me. Thank you.
Baiklah, terima kasih finalis yang keempat. Jadi kita buka sesi soal jawab kepada panelis juri. Dipersilakan.
Hi, Jiwai.
Hi, Josh.
Okay. My question is simple. As a Malaysian, so what could you do to help the Malaysian sustain this food price inflation? As a matter of fact, we all know the moment the food price goes up, it never go down.
Okay. So that actually we can realize that today we bring the 100 ringgit to the supermarket. There's a previous year you can fill out entire the trolley, but now you only can fill out half of the trolley only. So from this we can found that actually the food we every day absorb that is depend on the import food. So such as the onion or the beef or the fish. So that actually how to solve this problem is the government need to communicate with the rakyat so that they can know that what is the rakyat needs, that like we need to improve our food domestic products and try to invest in the modern agriculture technology and improve our productivity in agriculture. So that actually we can find that now the government is trying to provide a subsidy like my GASE and my STL to make the household can buy the certain item, right? But this solution actually can cover a short-term pressure only. So after a long term, the price is become the original price. They also face the fiscal burden there. So beyond the short-term solution, we need to see the long-term how to solve the problem. So the best solution for me is try to improve our food domestic product and try to buy the local food.
Thank you, Chiwai. Fantastic. Good.
Thank you.
Boleh, terima kasih finalis yang keempat. Jadi kita bagi 1 minit kepada juri untuk key in markah. Dan kita akan teruskan dengan finalis yang seterusnya. Baiklah, adakah panel juri kita dah bersedia? Dengan itu kita menjemput finalis yang kelima. Dipersilakan Lim Zin Chi dengan tajuk FYP-nya ESG Adoption in the Global Oil and Gas Industry in Developing Countries, Implication for Long-Term Profitability and Market Value daripada Faculty of Business and Economics.
Hello. Hi, good evening, everyone. So my title today is ESG Adoption in the Global Oil and Gas Industry in Developing Countries, the Implications and Long-Term Profitability and Market Value. So I'm sure every one of you here, you have heard of ESG. It's such a timely topic. But the question arises, why should we care about ESG compliance? Why should we comply with it if it's just about cost, if it's just about moral obligation and moral indulgence? And that's why it leads to our research questions, research objectives, and the significance of our study of today, which is number one, we want to know what are the financial benefits of ESG compliance. And number two, after knowing the financial benefits, we wanted to know what are the proceeds, what are the metrics for it. And last but not least, we wanted to know what are the board level strategies that we could apply in order to start implementing ESG into the companies. So without further ado, let's look at the key findings. So findings number one is the financial benefit. I've constructed like a 4-table. Unfortunately, we don't have the visualization here. But I've constructed a 4 mediator channel table where number one is the operational efficiency. And the metrics are energy intensity and also the turnover etc. And number two is the profitability, which is the most stereotypical one, but surprisingly, it's actually the weaker mediator because the VAF, variance accounted for, is only 10.5%, which means that ESG compliance couldn't make a company rich overnight, but eventually it does fit through. And number three is our market risk beta, which basically means when you have a higher ESG score, then your company's stock price is actually less volatile and more stable. And last but not least is our WACC reduction, which means when you have a higher ESG score, your cost of borrowing is actually lower. So now that you know the financial benefits, you want to know the proceeds. I'm going to just pick a few, the most important part. So the first proceed is actually market value. So the beta value is actually 0.588, which means that when there's one standard deviation increase in the ESG score, your company market value increased by 0.582. And number two is the WACC equals to 0.59, which means that when your ESG score increase, your company actually paid less by around 0.99%. It may sound small, but when it comes to a billion-dollar company, it means savings millions of money. And last but not least, the board level. I have a checklist, but no visualization here. But anyways, the first is phase infrastructure. Number two is governance first sequencing, which means you should focus more on the quick wins, the transparency disclosure, to get a higher ESG score for lower cost of borrowing. And not to forget the framework and also great instrument, vertical integration, and double material metrics. And that sums up all my research studies.
Baiklah, terima kasih finalis yang kelima. Jadi kita buka sesi soal jawab kepada panel juri. 2 minit anda bermula sekarang.
Hi, Lim.
Hello.
Okay. What are the challenges that you find in adopting ESG, particularly in Petronas? Is it possible or is it impossible? Why?
All right, so actually according to my consolidation of academic literature, one of the biggest challenges is actually the high capex. A lot of the board, they felt like because of the high capex, they couldn't see the immediate wins. And that's why, but truth be told, Petronas, they actually adopted to the international framework first, which is exactly in my board level strategies menu checklist. So Petronas adopt to the GRI, and therefore they successfully secured the natural gas ESG price long-term contract. And that is actually a win for them. So you can see by adopting to the framework first, by adopting to the disclosure, it means like quick wins for them.
What about Petro Sarawak?
Petro Sarawak, unfortunately, it's not in my consideration of analysis, but I will talk of it in a general term. So I feel like personally, according to the observation, the biggest challenge for them is by far the infrastructure. Because according to the World Bank report, the world has around 9 to 48 billion of the gas flare that could have been captured, could have been sold. But a lot of companies, they do not do that. Why? Even though they know there's such a huge revenue, they do not do that because of the high infrastructure needed to build a kind of underground gas storage system in order to start with. And that's like the biggest challenge. They have to persuade the board. They have to persuade the board of the board independence, of the anti-corruption and the transparency.
Your topic is so heavy duty, man. It's heavy duty. It's great, fantastic effort. The only thing is, I wish you don't mumble sangat when you speak. You tend to mumble, so you're not clear a bit. So just improve on that.
Yeah,
Great,
sure.
great effort, Lim. Well done.
Thank you so much.
Baiklah, terima kasih finalis yang kelima. Jadi kita bagi masa kepada juri-juri untuk key in markah dan kita akan teruskan dengan finalis yang seterusnya. Dan buat sementara itu, bagi mereka yang baru saja sampai di Dewan Tunku Canselor, sekarang ini dipaparkan pada skrin hadapan kod QR untuk anda vote, untuk anda undi favorite presenter anda, iaitu kita akan bagi 3 favorite presenter dan hanya satu sahaja yang akan dipilih sebagai untuk menyumbang 10% markah kepada presenter kita. Jadi jangan lupa untuk undi mereka, ada 3 kotak untuk anda undi. Jadi pilih 3 untuk favorite presenter anda kerana ia akan menyumbangkan 10% markah kepada untuk markah mereka pada hari ini. Baiklah, adakah juri kita bersedia? Jadi dengan itu kita mempersilakan finalis yang ke-6. Dipersilakan Abu Bakar As-Siddiq bin Sofyan dengan tajuk FYP-nya The Phenomenon of Hate Speech in Malaysia, Methods of Confrontation in the Light of Quran and Hadith daripada Academy of Islamic Studies. Dipersilakan.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi ta'ala wabarakatuh. And very good evening to all. Alhamdulillahi wahdah wa salatu wassalam ala man la nabiyya ba'dah wa ala alihi wa sahbihi wa man nasara wa atba'a wa walah. Imagine scrolling through your social media right now. In Malaysia, the feed is increasingly weaponized by the toxic 3R propaganda, targeting race, religion, and royalty. Algorithms actively reward outrage, trapping our citizens, especially youth under 30s, in hostile echo chambers. This is not just online trolling, it is an intersectional crisis of psychological bias, social anxiety, and poor media literacy. and that threatens to tear our multi-ethnic fabric apart. Currently, Malaysia's administrative response is highly and strictly punitive and reactive. We wait to communities to clash online, and then we deploy hard, heavy-handed censorship laws. But you cannot sure to cure a social disease by treating the symptoms alone. This study bridges a critical gap to design a framework that moves our civil service from a reactive model to a proactive and preventive architecture. We don't just rely on legal fear, we cultivate internal moral restraint by grounding policy in primary Islamic text. To do this, we map out a structural network. I call it the triangle of incitement, linking the speaker, the public audience, and the targeted groups. We apply this this triangle. We apply these targeted counters in every node. At the speaker level, we introduce the prophetic sallallahu alaihi wasallam discipline of Dabtul Lisan, the restraint of the tongue, and at the audience level, we build digital immunity using automated natural language processing and tracking and peace education. And lastly, in the victim level, we deploy independent meditation bodies to restore the universal karamah, the human dignity, as stated by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in His word. وَلَقَدْ كَرَّمْنَا بَنِي Adam, we had elevate the dignity of human itself. So that's all for me. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Baiklah finalis yang ke-6, terima kasih atas pembentangan anda. Jadi kita buka sesi soal jawab kepada panel juri. Dipersilakan.
Assalamualaikum, Tuan Abu Bakar. Okay, it's very interesting and I think it's a prominent things to your title today. Okay, when talking about methods of confrontation, what kind of confrontation you're using? Are you taking any of Quran or Hadith specific kind of surah of anything that you are really precise due to the solutions of your research here?
Yes. The main point or the main agenda here is, yes, we are taking every main point from the Quran and the Hadith, such as the most cited place in Quran is Surah Al-Hujurat, from the verse of 10 to 13. That is quite a long passage of ayat, talking just about human relation, while the person, the community here is considered as brothers. And some of the points talking about how we are communicate to others, the akhlaq. Yeah. So, and another half from the hadith perspective, it is sufficient to use just from Bukhari and Muslim, but just it is sufficient. It is much more. It is quite a lot of hadith we talk about, but I select just few, like 7 or 4. But probably in the later, when we talk about this, probably it came from the another collection of hadith.
Okay, you just answer my question.
Yes.
Baiklah, terima kasih kepada panel juri dan finalis yang ke-6. Jadi kita bagi masa untuk juri kita key in markah dan kita akan teruskan lagi dengan finalis yang seterusnya. Baiklah, adakah panel juri kita dah bersedia? Dengan itu kita mempersilakan finalis yang ketujuh, Chai Zichen Roxanne dengan tajuk FYP-nya, An Exploratory Study of Plastic Contamination in Domestic Waste Segregation for Campus Sustainability at Universiti Malaya, A Theory of Plant Behavior Perspective daripada Faculty of Built Environment. Dipersilakan.
Good afternoon to all panelists and attendees right here. Just imagine you walk through the campus that is full of recycle bins, infrastructure. There are banners around. They say, recycle now, sustainability future, right? So through by observation, these bins are not really that utilized in a university context. So this is a very interesting phenomenon. We thought that with good infrastructure or recycled bins are occupied, people will just automatically go and segregate their waste, like plastic. So today I'm bringing my tajuk, study of plastic contamination and waste segregation in a university context. So my study is based on Faculty of Alam Bina, Universiti Malaya, and this study is motivated by a theoretical framework by Jason. He said that these behavioral factors often influence people to do segregation. Okay, so in this content, the behavioral factors, there are three main components: attitude, subjective norms, perceived behavioral control that influence intention of users to do segregation behavior. So in this context, I conducted my survey. I collected 112 respondents in this faculty, and that is a very interesting fact that attitude doesn't really statistically significant to intention of users to do waste segregation. In fact, perceived behavioral control that is a very main, strongest relation to intention of users to do waste segregation. So what is perceived behavioral control? Perceived behavioral control means that is the person thinks that waste segregation is easy to do, or they think that is not easy to do and they think that it's hard. So I also do by observations in the faculty that the bins are actually underutilized because we have 10 floors in our faculty and it is occupied by recycle bins every floor. But during my observation, the bins are underutilized a lot. So maybe in a university, we can give more campaigns, give more talks to encourage these individuals, students, lecturers to do waste segregation for a sustainability campus. That's all from me. Thank you.
Baiklah, terima kasih finalis yang ketujuh. Jadi kita buka sesi soal jawab kepada panel juri. Dipersilakan.
You macam Mek Yun.
Sorry?
You look like Mek Yun. You know who's Mek Yun?
Not sure.
No. She looks like Mek Yun, right? Okay, Mek Yun. This topic is very important. And like you said, very underutilized. So what can be done to change this mentality for the better?
Okay, this is actually very hard because attitude for a person is very hard to change. And what I mentioned, that perceived behavioral control, which means that for a person's mentality, they think, oh, is this easy to segregate or not? Which means they are influenced by beside the people, or maybe campaigns that UM can encourage a lot of campaigns, because in now UM we have this zero single-use plastics in Universiti Malaya, but it also underutilized. The data is not there. Improper segregation also. So I would suggest that campaigns is very important, and everyone should be mandatory to involve in this campaign so we know how to segregate properly and what are the things to segregate.
Just to add on that, because there was this, in my area in Bandar Utama, they just came out with this law whereby they will penalize people who throw rubbish in the parks. So they're getting very serious. Then sampai 10,000 ringgit punya fine. So do you think this is a better way to teach the people who like to litter rather than campaigning and campaigning and campaigning? But it's time to put on stricter penalties, because when the pocket hurts, yeah, like Singapore, but like what Singapore has done, they call a fine city, right? But look at their results. So do you think we Malaysians can adopt this strategy adopted by Singapore?
First of all, because people, they hate penalties. They're scared of that. They are scared to be, their money lost, right? So, but in university, I don't think so it's that strict to do it. But campaigns, penalties, but not 10,000. So penalties are also one of the considerations that the university can do. So people are afraid. To be honest, it's the afraid. So that makes students to do waste segregation.
Okay, thank you, Mek Yun. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Baiklah, terima kasih finalis yang ketujuh. Jadi
after this you Google lah, Mek Yun, M-E-K-Y-U-N. And then you look at yourself. Yeah. Kan?
Sementara kita tunggu juri kita key in markah, kita akan teruskan lagi selepas ini dengan finalis yang ke-8. Baiklah, adakah juri kita dah bersedia untuk meneruskan sesi finalis yang seterusnya? Baiklah, dengan itu kita mempersilakan Nur Nazifa binti Zakaria dengan tajuk FYP-nya Special Temporal Assessment of Soil Erosion Risk Using Russell Model in Cameron Highlands daripada Faculty of Arts and Social Sciences. Dipersilakan.
Assalamualaikum and good evening to judges and fellow audience. I'm Nur Nazifa binti Zakaria from the Department of Geography, and this is my research title. And to begin with the introduction, Cameron Highlands is one of Malaysia's most important agricultural and tourism regions. However, rapid land use changes, agricultural expansion, steep slopes, and heavy rainfall have made the area increasingly vulnerable to soil erosion. So why should we care about that? Of course, because soil erosion is more than just loss of soil. It reduces agricultural productivity, degrades ecosystems, increases land, river sedimentation, and contributes to landslide risk. These impacts threaten both environmental sustainability and local communities. So, to address this issue, I integrated Russell Model Geography Information System remote sensing into my research to assess how soil erosion risks change over 20-year periods, particularly in 2003, 2013, and 2023. And from my findings, revealed that erosion intensity peak is in 2013, where the maximum soil loss was reached about 35.6 tons per hectare per year. High-risk hotspots were concentrated in areas such as Kampung Raja and Hulu Telum, which experienced significant land clearing and agricultural expansion. Although extreme erosion levels decreased by 2023, it doesn't mean that it's getting better because the pattern is changed from hotspots to widespread kind of pattern. The significance of this research lies in its ability to identify erosion hotspots and provide spatial information that can support sustainable land management, environmental conservation, and disaster risk reduction. Most importantly, this study contributes to SDG 5, Life on Land, and SDG 13, Climate Action by supporting climate resilience and sustainable land planning in vulnerable highland environments. In conclusion, understanding where and how erosion risk changes over time is essential for protecting Cameron Highlands and ensuring environmental sustainability for future generations. Thank you, that's all from me.
Baiklah, terima kasih finalis yang ketujuh atas pembentangan anda. Jadi kita teruskan lagi untuk membuka ruang bagi sesi soal jawab. Dipersilakan.
Nazifa, okay, instead of applying the model, another one more option, stop construction. Which one that you think more efficient, more effective, more cost saving?
We cannot stop construction because as we are all learning about sustainability, which is we have to incorporate, we have to manage construction and environmental sustainability. So if we stop construction, we cannot compete with other negara like yang as we are third. Boleh cakap bahasa Melayu. Kita negara yang ketiga kan. Kalau kita berhenti buat construction, kita tak boleh nak bersaing dengan Jepun ke dengan UK sebab construction tu penting untuk meningkatkan lagi kita punya tahap kemodenan. So untuk model ni kita dapat buat perancangan kat mana construction tu lagi sesuai untuk dibina daripada stopkan construction.
This is a very commendable effort because ini satu topik yang sangat sensitif sebenarnya, you know, which one weighs more, development, sustainability. Tapi it's a good effort by you, and I hope that your research is very thorough lah, because this thing needs a really thorough punya research, and I wish you all the best for the future with this one. Okay, well done. Yeah.
Baiklah, terima kasih kepada finalis yang ke-8. Jadi kita bagi masa untuk juri kita key in markah dan kita akan teruskan lagi dengan finalis yang seterusnya. Baiklah, adakah panel juri kita dah bersedia? Jadi dengan itu kita mempersilakan Siti Aminah binti Muhammad Zulkifli dengan tajuk FYP-nya Media Sosial sebagai ejen sosialisasi politik dalam kalangan generasi Z di Akademi Pengajian Islam Universiti Malaya dalam konteks PMRU 15 daripada Academy of Islamic Studies. Dipersilakan.
Alright. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi taala wabarakatuh and good evening everyone. My name is Siti Aminah binti Muhammad Zulkifli from the Department of Sharia, Economic and Governance, Academy of Islamic Study, Universiti Malaya. So inshallah today, this evening, I will be presenting about my research paper that entitled Social Media as an Agent of Socialization Politics among Generation Z Generation Z at the Academy of Islamic Studies, Universiti Malaya, in the context of GE 15, or we call it as General Election 15. All right, so my study examines how the social media functions as an agent of political socialization among Generation Z students at my faculty, Academy of Islamic Study, Universiti Malaya. So why do I feel so interested in choosing this topic, to do this research? It is because I found that social media is the main method, or we call it the closest items that we as Gen Z, me myself also very close with social media. And I choose Generation Z because they are the first generation who was able to vote since 2022 for the PRU 15. So I found that my study is very important because it's expected to contribute to understanding of the role of social media as an agent of political socialization. I do also find that myself, also sometimes have been influenced with the social media, and it is sometimes makes me affect because of the social media in doing any conclusion on everything in action when it regarding to political matters. So that's why I feel like, do I have to make this this kind of research in order to study if all my friends also would feel the same like me myself. So that's why I choose to do this study. So there is a few findings about my study. I found that political interaction is mostly passive among my friends from my faculty, which is they are only liking the posting in social media. They love the sharing and discussion in closed space. They don't really like to do comments in their for your page, their FYP or social media platforms. I also found that platforms such as Instagram, WhatsApp, and also TikTok is the most used platforms among my friends. Okay, but what I found really interesting in my study is because religious and moral values remain the main guide in political decision making, showing a layered political orientation between digital influence and the Islamic values. So maybe our background as a Faculty of Islamic Academic Study, maybe they still being cautious or being so careful in doing any decision regarding the political matters, because some of people maybe not Islamic background, maybe they are not really what do we call that, being cautious at doing any decision regarding the political matters. So I feel like this study is kind of important because Generation Z, me and all my friends, I think we are the most important blocks that affect the Malaysian politics in the future. We are the closest people to vote for Malaysia soon. So I think that's all from my
Baiklah, finalis yang ke-9, masa anda telah pun tamat. Jadi kita buka ruang untuk sesi soal jawab. Dipersilakan.
Hi, Siti Amina. It's an interesting topic here. So my question is, when you said what was your objective, why you interested to do the studies, right? So when you, I didn't know how many questionnaires you send out. Is that you surveyed or you do questions? If you did questionnaires, so I just want to understand from your original objective and the finding, how deviate it is.
All right. So for my research, I'm using the methods by interview, like 12 students from my faculty. I'm using individual discussion, individual interview, and also focus group discussion, or we call it FGD, which is 4 people in one group, and also the last is like 8 person individually interviewed by me myself. I'm asking them about this. So far, the background of the students that I'm choosing is the people or the students who are really into politics, and those who are from the those who are involved in politics campus and everything. Yeah. So because to find normal students is kind of difficult for me to interview them, because some of them, I tried to approach them, but some of them are refused, and they say that, oh, no, I have nothing to do with politics matters. They don't really into that, so it's kind of hard for me to interview them instead of those I mentioned before. Yeah.
Right, thank you. So I'm just asking this out of curiosity, right? When you conduct this research, you have some expectations or some perceptions in your mind. So when you completed that, how deviate that from your original perspective?
My expression. Actually, I'm targeting, the findings that I found from my research paper is so different from my perspective. It is so different. But still, I found it interesting because I could elaborate more, I guess, in my paper research soon, because I could say that me, myself, yes, it is influenced a lot by the social media, and it drives me in doing the political decision, but not all students are like me, so some of them have their own principles in life or perspective. So yeah, maybe also because of the different ideologies, yeah.
Thank you.
All right.
Okay, good.
Okay, thank you so
Boleh
much.
terima kasih panel juri dan finalis yang ke-9. Jadi kita bagi masa kepada juri untuk key in markah sebelum kita teruskan dengan finalis yang terakhir pada hari ini. Jadi buat sementara itu, kepada hadirin yang baru saja sampai di Dewan Tunku Canselor, anda boleh lihat sekarang tengah dipaparkan kod QR di skrin hadapan, dan kod QR tersebut adalah untuk anda vote favorite presenter anda pada hari ini, dan 3 favorite presenter anda ini juga akan diberi 10 markah, 10% di dalam markah presentation mereka hari ini. Jadi jangan lupa untuk vote 3 favorite presenter anda, kerana 10% itu penting bagi presentation mereka pada hari ini dan menentukan siapakah pemenang bagi kategori Sains Sosial. Jadi adakah panel juri kita bersedia untuk finalis yang terakhir? Baiklah, kita tunggu sebentar dan kita akan habiskan sesi Sains Sosial kita pada hari ini dengan finalis kita yang ke-10. Baiklah, saya rasa panel juri kita dah pun sedia. Jadi dengan itu kita mempersilakan Siti Akmaliana binti Nazri dengan tajuk FYP-nya Choosing local products in the context of sustainable consumption and production as DG12 among public in Klang Valley. Daripada Faculty of Arts and Social Sciences, dipersilakan.
Hello. Okay, Assalamualaikum and hi everyone. Today I am Siti Akmalana binti Nasiri and today I will be presenting about my final year project which is about choosing local product in the context of sustainable consumption and production SDG 12 among public in Klang Valley. So before I begin, let us wonder a little bit. When was the last time did we actually buy, use or purchase local products in our life? For me, just now before I came here today, I did drove my Myvi Perdua here to stand here and present my final year project. So perhaps we didn't even realize that the products that we are using every day is banyaknya local. So why do we choose our local product? Is it because they are local, or is it because they are sustainable, or simply because it is more convenient and more convenient? So this is where it led to my research, where I examine people awareness and also their purchasing behavior on choosing local products. So to answer these questions, I did a survey to 293 respondents among public in Klang Valley, and from my findings, it is shown that consumers in Klang Valley did have high awareness on local products, especially in terms of economic and social, but they have a limitation on knowing about the broader sustainability concept, which is about the SEP itself, SDG 12, and also about circular economy concept. But however, with our government initiative, like the Buy Malaysian Products, it also help increasing people awareness to know more and support the local products. So that is what I found interesting. So in simple words, people know local product, but they do not necessarily know about the sustainability concept about what they are choosing. So from my finding, it is also found that education and also purchasing behavior contribute to the awareness of respondents. So it is shown that the higher the educational background that the person have, the more awareness that they have in themselves. So in terms of purchasing behavior, I found that people show a positive behavior to support the local product. But however, price remain a barrier, especially due to the geopolitical issue nowadays between Iran and US. So the challenge now in my final project is we know that we did support local product, but consumer do not necessarily know about what the sustainability are behind them. So my final word is, if not us who will support local products, who else will support it? Thank you.
Baiklah, terima kasih diucapkan kepada finalis kita yang ke-10. Jadi dengan itu kita membuka ruang untuk sesi soal jawab. Dipersilakan.
Okay, I have a very simple question here. Can you give examples on the products that your research here?
My research is about local products. So in terms of local product, it is broad because local product is have different types in terms of household, skincare, and all lah. So I didn't mention specifically what products I am analyzing, but my research also ada tanya about what is the most preferable product that the consumer likes. So from my finding, it is found that preferable brands that they like are such as Zeus Coffee, Gardenia, and also Perdua.
Okay.
Thank you.
soalan penutup lah. Soalan penutup. Can you explain to me how this connects to the SDG 12 again? Just a quick one.
Okay, so
Yeah.
SDG 12 is about responsible consumption and production. So we as consumer, when we support local products, it helps contribute to the SDG 12, like reducing the transportation emission, because when we choose local product, the transportation emission is lower since the local product is manufactured in Malaysia. That's my answer.
Faham, okay, got it, clear. And with that, I think you've done well with this topic. Mungkin boleh perbaiki dengan cara presentation. You're very nervous, but it's okay. All the best to you with this topic. Thank you, Liana.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Baiklah, terima kasih diucapkan kepada panel juri dan finalis kita yang terakhir pada hari ini. Jadi dengan berakhirnya pembentangan yang terakhir tadi, maka berakhirlah pertandingan 3-minute pitching bagi kategori Sains Sosial. Kepada ke-10 finalis, tahniah diucapkan kerana berjaya mara ke peringkat yang seterusnya dan tahniah atas penyertaan pembentangan projek tahun akhir anda sebentar tadi. Sebelum menutup pertandingan 3-minute pitching, majlis menjemput panel juri dan para finalis kategori Sains Sosial untuk naik ke atas pentas bagi sesi bergambar. Dipersilakan. Bagi senyuman yang paling bahagia. Okey. Jadi terima kasih diucapkan kepada panel juri kita kerana sudi meluangkan masa bersama pada hari ini, dan tahniah juga diucapkan kepada ke-10 finalis bagi kategori Sains Sosial. Jadi kita akan teruskan dengan agenda yang seterusnya. Dengan itu majlis dengan segala hormatnya diminta Profesor Dr. Sanjay Rampal, Timbalan Naib Canselor Pembangunan dan Penyelidikan Universiti Malaya untuk kekal berada di atas pentas bagi meneruskan sesi Lucky Draw pada hari ini.
Well, terima kasih diucapkan.
Thank you.
Okay. Terima kasih diucapkan kepada pengacara kita Haziq Akil atas MC kita semua tadi. Baiklah, kita akan teruskan dengan sesi Lucky Draw. Jadi siapa yang belum lagi, kita nak bukakan lagi kali ini. Untuk hari yang ketiga kita buka untuk cabutan. Betul tak Azalia?
Betul. Dan saya dengar untuk QR kita di hadapan ni kita hanya akan buka dalam beberapa minit sahaja. Hanya dalam kurang daripada 5 minit.
Ya, kurang daripada 5 minit.
Kerana kita nak spin dalam masa yang dalam cepatlah, orang kata as soon as possible.
Yes,
alright?
betul.
Okay, jadi kepada semua jangan lupa untuk scan QR code sekarang kerana hadiah yang akan menanti anda bukan biasa-biasa. Sebab
betul.
hadiah sepanjang iFEST ni memang hadiahnya semua gampak-gampak. Kerana kita mempunyai penaja yang juga sudi menaja kita dengan hadiah yang cukup luar biasa.
Ya, apatah lagi inilah iFEST ni Azalia.
Ya, betul.
Okay Prof dah ready ke? Boleh, kita kan stay dulu, kita kan
yes.
stay kat atas.
Dan lagi menarik lagi, nanti hadiah
Okay.
anda akan disampaikan oleh Prof sendiri.
Betul tu Azala. Okey, semua dah ke? Semua dah isi ke?
Semua dah ready
Okey,
belum?
cepat kita bagi masa ni. Prof dah tak sabar nak bagi hadiah ni. Kita pula tengok siapa yang bertuah pada hari ni. Semalam dah. Kita tengok hari ni pula siapa yang bertuah.
Anda semua dah ready? Betul dah ready?
Betul,
Alright, mantap. Okey, jadi
Alright.
kita boleh tengok spin the wheel kita untuk tengok siapakah yang akan menjadi pemenang pada hari ini.
Okey, semua get ready?
Kita tengok. Oh,
Jom.
hilang pula.
Okey, sabar. Kita bagi masa,
Sekejap. Kita cemas sebab hari ni tak ramai. So mungkin peluang untuk menang lagi tinggi.
Betul. Okey, jom. Sama-sama kita saksikan di skrin harapan. Dalam kiraan 3 kita pusing. 1, 2, 3.
Yes.
Ini dia hadiah daripada Wyndham Grand Bangsa Kuala Lumpur. Ini dah penginapan di hotel.
Jadi pemenangnya ialah Nur Alifah Anissa.
Ya.
Binti Abdul Yazid. Siapakah?
Ada ke beliau?
Alright, ada di sana. Silakan ke hadapan pentas.
Ya.
Untuk collect your
Tahniah
prize.
diucapkan. Ini dia menang Wyndham Grand Hotel ni. Dapat satu penginapan. 2 hari 1 malam dengan breakfast free.
Ya, betul. Dapat high tea. 1 pack. Lepas ni bolehlah minum-minum, makan-makan di Wyndham Grand.
Betul tu.
Sebab saya yakin sebenarnya hadiah daripada Wyndham Grand ni juga bukan biasa-biasa.
Bukan
Sebab
biasa-biasa.
high tea-nya sendiri memang penuh dengan makanan yang cukup menarik.
Yes, betul. Okey, tahniah diucapkan kepada sekali lagi kepada Nur Alifah Anissa. Jadi pemenang yang pertama kita.
Alright, okay.
Baiklah.
Jom kita tengok untuk